Robin Gagnon.
I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We're on your radio once a week with the leading authorities in this industry, talking about subjects trending in the restaurant business. Tweet your own questions on the topic while we're on the air to our Twitter handle, Sell Restaurants, or post them on our Facebook page, facebook.com/We Sell Restaurants. If we don't get to your question, we'll follow up on our social media channels.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have any ideas for our show or any comments, you can email me at eric@WeSellRestaurants.com.
Today's radio show focuses on the barbecue segment. What is it about barbecue that brings everyone to the table? Is it the smell, the smoke, the heat, the flavors, or all of the above? The restaurant brokers are focusing on the cuisine that ranges from high on the hog to roadside grills that take on the character of a backyard cookout.
And for that exciting show today, we are joined by Roy Slicker. Slicker is currently serving as the president of the National Barbecue Association. He is very active in all areas of membership and development. He is also the owner of Slick Q Company, a barbecue restaurant and product company based in Central Oregon since 2009. Mr. Slicker travels about 25 to 30,000 miles a year around the country, connecting with other barbecue businesses, pit masters, and barbecue competitors. He is also one of the most requested instructor for the NBBQA's apprentice program, a 2 or 3 day barbecue business immersion program offered by the association. Roy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, we're also joined by Jordan Wakefield. Growing up in Lawrenceville, Georgia, Wakefield was immersed in a world of diverse culinary cultures. His Midwestern mother taught him how to prepare meat and potatoes, as well as her famous dishes, spaghetti, pork chops, and meatloaf. His Tennessee-born father provided Wakefield with a love for Southern culinary traditions. Wakefield went on to attend Le Cordon Bleu in Atlanta, where he took on a coveted 3-month externship at the exclusive Homestead Resort in Hot Springs. This talent of combining Southern food and sensibilities to create cutting-edge cuisine became highly praised, and he was soon promoted to executive chef of Meehan's Public House in downtown Atlanta. Between his extensive training, skill, and hand-picked kitchen team, he took Meehan's fare to the next level. Most recently, however, he's embarked on his latest venture, which is opening a barbecue-style restaurant, Smoke Ring, which serves up Jordan's very own take on Georgia-style barbecue in Atlanta's Castleberry Hill community. Hey, Jordan, thank you for joining us.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me.
All right. So, Roy, we're going to kick it off with you because you sent us some great questions, and I like this one in particular. What is it that you attribute the recent rise in interest in barbecue, and why is it suddenly so popular with Americans?
Well, I think barbecue is one of the fastest-growing food segments right now in America. It is Americana. Everybody has done it for so long. Barbecue has more events, weekend events associated with it than any other food group. If you think about all the barbecue contests going on. Out here in the West, we have the Reno Rib Cook-Off. It's 650,000 people over 4.5 days, over 1 million pounds of ribs. Very well attended. The Kansas City Royale, Memphis in May. Everybody wants to get involved. Everybody has their own little techniques they use in the backyard, and they're putting it to the test on the weekends. And we see a lot of barbecue restaurants opening, catering companies. It's just Americana. Everybody loves barbecue.
Well, speaking of the little tricks, Jordan, I know you're a trained executive chef, and what made you want to branch into the barbecue world?
And I've been in the restaurant business for probably about 16 years now, since I was, very young, started up to the ranks. And, always been one of the backyard barbecuers, that everybody grows up, loving to be, and just had a, true passion for it and tried to incorporate that in all of my restaurant experience years. This is the first time that that myself has made that such a central focus at the restaurant, being that it is essentially a barbecue restaurant. So it's been a big learning curve, but it's actually the fact that it's just the pure passion, like Roy said, that everybody, with the trends growing and, the pure love for, the act of barbecuing is essentially what started us up with Smoke Ring.
That's great because, Roy, I think every time you eat in a barbecue restaurant, it tastes a little different. Everybody brings their own touch to it. What defines the barbecue, and how does it differ from coast to coast?
Wow. Well, they say there's 4 regions barbecue, and I really a fifth developing. That's a Santa Maria style tri-tip, and there's people that say low and slow, that low temperature for a long period of time, and also direct heat, grilling. If you're using indirect or direct heat, you're in our family of barbecue. And I think what defines really great barbecue is a consistent a temperature and sticking to traditions as far as flavor profiles and so on. And it's an art. It truly is to be able to cook something for a long period of time, taking a cut of meat that say would be tough normally, and turning it into a absolutely mouth-watering, succulent piece of barbecue is it's a difficult thing to do, and this is why it's become so popular, because everybody's applying their own flavor profiles and techniques to produce it.
Well, Jordan, you are making some mouth-watering, obviously, pieces of meat like Roy just described here. What makes it a Georgia style?
Well, we first set out, I think exactly like what Roy was saying. There's several different brands. Down, you hear of the Memphis style, or St. Louis style, or Carolina style, especially in the South. And there's a lot of really good and talented, amazing chefs and restaurants, at least in Atlanta. I've been here my entire life, and there's a lot of great places to go. And I think that it's just, rather than, the first question that everybody's asked, typically, especially for me when they come in to Smoke Ring, we were starting to open, was, what style of barbecue you're going to be cooking. And then it almost offended me, just to the point, because we're too good of a city and too good of a an area and the culture down here in the South to have our own style in Georgia. So I think that when I set out to create a Georgia style barbecue brand, and I really maybe still don't typically know what that is, but we're still trying to create it. It's essentially everything's passed down from generations upon generations. Everything can go back to ancestors and that kind of stuff. And I just think that taking some of our historic past in Atlanta and Georgia and the South, I think just trying to incorporate that in, and using different trends, from all different styles, maybe a combination of it. But I think the ultimate goal is, like, we have a different approach with our barbecue, and I think that the way that it's trending, I think that ultimately, I think you'll start seeing more restaurants go in that direction. I think that'll be a compliment to the act of barbecue in itself.
So, Roy, I'm intrigued about this apprentice program offered by the National Barbecue Association. Tell us a little bit about this, because is it for anyone?
Oh, absolutely. So the National Barbecue Association is made up of backyard enthusiasts, caterers, restaurant operators, trade partners. When I say trade partners, food service suppliers, equipment suppliers, and things like that. So what we found is, and let me use an example, KCBS, Kansas City Barbecue Society, probably has, let's say 14,000 members, and most of those, Kansas City Barbecue Society is a competition base, so they provide rules and for weekend competitions. Well, if you look at KCBS membership base, a lot of those people are doing something in the barbecue business world. There's an estimate of, say, 3,000 to 4,000 of those doing something in the world of the barbecue business, whether it be sauces and rubs, catering business, wanting to start a restaurant. So what we're providing is a program. It's a 3-day immersion program where somebody could, let's say I want to open a restaurant. And first I tell them they're crazy, but
we're restaurant brokers. We do that too.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I tell them, usually aside from they're crazy, is you got to watch the front door, the back door, and the garbage can, and then we go into the details as to what each one of those mean. But the program starts off, and they can pick an instructor. I happen to be I've done more of these than any other pitmaster or restaurant owner in the association, but there's some very famous pitmasters, Mike Mills and Chris Lilly and a few others that are instructors for the apprentice program within the NBBQA. So they come. The first day we talk about food safety, hiring, all these type of things, marketing, the front door, as I said earlier, getting people in the front door. That's assuming you have good food, and then we go into service, sides and salads that are paired well, making healthy sides and salads to go with your barbecue, and then we go into the actual smoking techniques, so on and so forth. It's a lot of fun, and what you find is you come away, someone comes away from this, they had a really great time, they enjoyed themselves, they're going to remember it, it sticks, and a number of these people have gone off and opened restaurants, and they're doing very well.
Ah, that's great.
Sounds like a great program, and obviously
It's a lot of fun.
Jordan, we told him he was crazy, him and his partners, and they disagree with us. They went ahead and opened a restaurant anyway. So we're glad because we love their food. We've been, Rob and I had a chance to be there. But Jordan, speaking of that, Roy, give us a crash course here in 3 days. What was some of the biggest challenge y'all face in opening your restaurant?
I think, the biggest challenge that I think that we've faced so far, and we continue to face every day, is just to differentiate ourselves from the other barbecue restaurants that are in the city. And that's nothing against, obviously, like I said, we have great chefs, great barbecue restaurants, all around Atlanta. And, when you're doing the concept just like barbecue, like Roy was touched on earlier, it's such a growing and expanding, trend. So you have to really give a wow factor for somebody to come in and try your food, and what differentiates you to bring them in instead of going to everybody has their own barbecue hole. Everybody has their one spot to go to. So, it's a very big competition out there. So, what we try to do is just to showcase, barbecue in a whole, and nothing that there's anything wrong with it, but we try to step away from that scoop and go type mentality and create an experience for people to come in. And that showcase of barbecue in itself, is everything that we do. Like you guys have said, you guys have been a couple of times, and we showcase like some fresh salmon that we catch, Georgia trout. We do, we smoke a lot of fruits. We smoke, have a couple of different desserts, but obviously we focus on the essentials. We have pork belly and pulled pork and brisket and ribs and that kind of stuff. And we're very big pork friendly, but we do have other options as far as like the fish and the beef brisket and that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing was just differentiating ourselves and giving us another reason to come to see us.
And now I think that's actually a very interesting point. And Roy, maybe you can elaborate on that, because barbecue is not just the typical proteins anymore, and that's part of what's driving some growth, right?
Oh, absolutely. The last trip I went on, I'm about to embark on another trip here in 2.5 weeks for the National Barbecue Association's annual meeting in San Marcos. But in the fall, I went on a 7,122-mile trip, and I got within 2 hours of the Atlantic coast down in South Georgia. That's how far I went from Oregon. And we visited 38 barbecue restaurants in 18 days. Now, I don't eat at every one of them. A lot of them I go in and introduce myself and talk about, hey, what's your food cost, things like this. But I sample barbecue all over the country, and the ones that really stand out are the ones that have turned barbecue into a healthy food. And if you think about that with unique sides and salads and smoked salmon, these things are what make a really good barbecue restaurant, stand out against others that are doing just as, you go in and everybody has pulled pork, brisket, sausage, turkey, chicken, the standards. But these things that, to be able to tell the story that this is a healthy food option for people, when you think about it, a piece of meat that you start with, let's say a choice Angus brisket, has a lot of fat content in it, but if you're smoking it properly over a long period of time, that fat is melting out of it, and barbecue meats are really healthy, and I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. So a restaurant that can tell that story, show that, and offer foods that are healthy for people, I think is do really well.
That's good information. I think also the sides, I know a lot of sides now get more and more creative to go along with your barbecue. Are you seeing that, Roy, across the country? And Jordan, can you talk about what you have in your restaurant as far as that goes?
Yeah, I definitely have seen it all over. In fact, one of the seminars we're having at the annual meeting here in San Marcos, Texas, the first week of March, is the different options, creative options for sides, and it's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of people that have been in the food business for a long time, very creative chefs that are going to be presenting at that. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, just to touch on that too, that was another thing when we sat down, we were discussing the menu. It was the thing that was brought up pretty quickly was the fact that so many restaurants, especially in the barbecue, there's a lack of attention and detail on the sides aspect. So that was one of our really big objects to tackle. We started off, we use, I mean, we're not to get on the high horse, but we use a lot of organic produce, and we use a lot of support from local farms and that kind of stuff. So we have really cool stuff. Like, we're pretty much a scratch kitchen. We do, baked beans from scratch, our mac and cheese, obviously. But you take those typical, barbecue affiliated sides, and we just kind of put a contemporary twist on them, with the mac and cheese or the baked beans and the coleslaw, potato salad, and that kind of stuff. We use all different kind of ingredients to just take it to a new cutting edge. We have like a grilled corn on the cob with, a chipotle mayo and cotija cheese, kind of like a little bit of a Spanish or Mexican style influence on it, but it lends itself really well to the barbecue thing. So it's really important, and everybody appreciates it, I think, more so than they have ever before, because 20% of our items come through. We have a choose three sides plate, and a lot of people do that a lot because we put so much attention to detail in the sides aspect of the menu.
I think that's absolutely true. Roy, I'm sorry, did you want to weigh in there too?
Sure. And the other thing that when this is what's trending is that local, healthy, organic. Those things have been trending for a while across the country. So you're seeing things sides such as black bean and roasted corn salads. Things such as sweet potato mash with a vanilla that's really fragrant, and just different things that bring a dynamic flavor profile to the menu, and where people are like, wow, that's my mouth is watering, and this is so good and it smells so good that people attach themselves to that brand, and rather than just going in and getting standard beans out of a can, coleslaw from a bag, and so on, and which so many places were doing for so long, but it's so much more competitive now, and there's so much more creativity coming from the chef side rather than, say, someone just throwing things together and saying, here you go. So absolutely the trend is towards more healthy, more creative options out there.
That is absolutely true, and I know I personally enjoyed that and seeing the creativity in that. But what about the future of barbecue, Jordan and Roy? Weigh in on, are we going to soon see, liquid nitrogen barbecue or sous vide barbecue? What is coming up now? Are we going to see Wally Dufresne start making barbecue in the future here? Or?
I think there's going to be a lot of almost revelation type stuff coming down the pipe with the barbecue aspect, because, hopefully, we're not any kind of pioneer here, what we're doing at Smoke Ring, but hopefully that lends itself to maybe somebody else getting an idea, or maybe somebody seeing the stuff that we're doing, and that makes them approach it with a more creative aspect. So I think for sure there's going to be people are going to lots and love to play with lots of toys when it comes to that kind of stuff, like you said, like the sous vide and the smokers and that kind of stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see it. But I think that the one concept, there's several concepts that are always going to be making. Everybody's going to always go eat Mexican food, but I think barbecue is that one staple that's going to stick around for a long time, and there's going to be a lot of different changes that come down over the next couple of years.
Well, actually, come to think of it, barbecuing was really man's first way of eating anything. Once there was fire, then there was grilled meat, and it all took off from there. Roy, where's it going?
Barbecue on Mars. So, or in the International Space Station, they're going to figure out how to do it up there. But, well, I think the one thing to say about really good barbecue, and I learned my I learned my brisket in Texas and my pork in the South traveling around. And one of the things that I learned, about great barbecue is the simplicity of it, is to not get too complicated with too many different spices going on and so on, and then bring the creativity on the sides and on salads. Now, the one thing I see is coming on, and people in the South, we had an annual meeting in San Diego, and a lot of people that came to the meeting were from the South, and we were doing tri-tip. And Santa Maria, California kind of pioneered the whole tri-tip thing. A lot of the guys from the South were looking at the tri-tip saying, you use that? You actually smoke that? We grind that up and make it into hamburger. And so, there's a Santa Maria style tri-tip that people are learning more about. They're bringing new techniques to doing briskets. Instead of, say, really long periods of smoke times, they're cutting that smoke time down, doing it differently, producing great products, injecting, all kinds of things going on like that. I think some of the technology that's come into this, at least from, say, somebody that uses a a wood or charcoal smoker, there's products like the Barbecue Guru that this is a little digital control that you plug into a probe goes into the meat and then also into the cook box area, and you set the temperature on this, and it has these very high-tech fans that attach to the where the charcoal and the wood is burning, the burn box, and it maintains this temperature over a long period of time, which is really the key to great barbecue, is it maintaining a consistent temperature in there. So, I mean, there's all kinds of technology that are coming into it, but I think in the end, barbecue will always be just great food, simple, and bring people together. That's one thing it does more than any other food, is bring people together. Hey, come on over for a barbecue. People use that term a lot. I think what I like to say, there's 7 billion people on the planet now, and I would say pretty safely there's probably 1 billion now that have some form of barbecue, whether it's a low and slow, a grill, or whatever in their backyard.
Well, I agree totally with that, and we're fine with that. I mean, it sounds so easy. I know Saturday afternoon, my barbecue, I think I could beat Bobby Flay on any given day. I'm tough and everything. But Jordan, let's talk about the reality. We're restaurant workers. Everybody got cooks who compete, think they can open a restaurant. Tell us a bit more about the reality of opening a barbecue restaurant, in itself.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot that goes into it that people don't really understand. They think it's just preparing a good product and opening the doors, and then if you own a restaurant, you're this well-off millionaire, and in truth it's the exact opposite of that. It's really tough, and especially starting a new business. There's a lot that goes into, like Rose touching on, food costs and all that kind of stuff, that you have certain things, especially with barbecue, when there's waste and that kind of stuff, how it's all factored in together. Just the hardest thing is just, I think, and the most important thing is, when in the restaurant business, is keeping a consistent product. Everybody, and there's certainly millions or billions of talented people that can cook at home, like yourself, I'm sure, Eric. But when it comes to that aspect of producing on a daily basis, the consistency is a really big factor, and just achieving that, like Doris said, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not, coming up with this whole new scheme. It's just sticking to the basics. You're showcasing the meat and you're showcasing the barbecue in itself. So, anytime that you try to overcomplicate it and take too many steps is when you're going to start losing quality. You're going to start losing people's interest. Actually, it's the exact opposite.
Okay, we're about to go into a break. So, I mean, this is fascinating because we have two really great and extraordinary minds in the industry talking about the barbecue business. We want to take a moment and thank one of our sponsors, Today's Restaurant, the food service industry newspaper. Today's Restaurant is the trade newspaper for the food service industry in Georgia and Florida, and has positioned itself as your total marketing solution to sell a service or product. Stay tuned. You're on the air with Eric and Robin, the restaurant brokers, and today we're talking barbecue.